Hello everyone. We're going to be continuing to build on what we learned last week. So last week you learned how to create an interactive slider for your the intro page of your website. So now we're going to add some content, and also I'm going to go over customizing your content via CSS and margins and padding. So here is basically what you submitted last week, and this is what you're going to be adding to your page this week. So you're going to add a 2-column responsive design column, and then we're going to add in responsive design image as well as a responsive design video, and we're going to customize the page so it has a specific size and color heading as well as the textual information. And if I resize the page, you can see that both my image and my video basically gets smaller, and that's the functionality that I'll be showing you this week. I added a tab, like a navigation tab here, but we're gonna cover this part next week, because I rather if you really focus on what the customizing all these other items first. But I will show you how to embed this tab, but you don't have to do anything else with it in terms of customizing it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So this is the folder that we're going to work on. So this is the part 3 of this video tutorial series. So I'm going to go ahead and start Dreamweaver. First thing you need to do is to manage your site, and I know I changed the name of the folder, so I'm going to click on the edit tab, and again you see that it's pointing to the wrong folder here. I'm going to go click on the folder here and change it to week 6 part 2, and I can actually change the title because I misspelled the name, but I can fix that later. I'm going to go ahead and save and go ahead and say done, and I'm going to double click from the file panel, double click the index to load the page in. Now again, it's really important to add these comments for yourself, because again, as we add content, the web pages are going to become extremely complex. So for this part, I know that I want to add a fluid column, and again we're going to make sure we're on the insert tab, and we're going to, this is the column that I want to add. However, we are going to make sure that I'm adding it in the right place. So again, every single item that I need to add to my site needs to reside within this body tag and inside of this container. Remember, this container fluid is the suitcase that I talked about last week, where when you're traveling, you're not going to carry every single item that you have everywhere, in your pockets or your arms and whatnot. You're going to put them in a suitcase, organize them in different containers, so then you can know exactly where everything is. The column that I've added, I have a row, opening and closing div for my row, and then I have 2 columns, column 6 and 2 column 6, one right and one left. Again, each one has its own opening and closing tag. So I'm gonna simply copy this quickly and opening text row, And again, these comments are just for myself, because like I said, things will get a lot more complicated as we add more content. And then closing. Remember, this text has to remain gray, otherwise the viewer on your website will be able to see them. So I'm gonna just add, like, modify the titles right now, and then maybe just do the same here. And I'm gonna just customize this a little bit further. So I know for this text I want to make it like a heading 2, heading 2, H2, closing, and then make sure you want to move the H2, closing of the H2, Command X, move it after the text before the closing div, so it should look like this. And I'm kind of gonna do the same. Actually, let's move this down. I'm gonna move this down as well. This is the closing of my closing left column div. So again, these notes are very important to create, just because, like I said, it just makes it a lot easier down the line if you have to add content and you don't know where you're supposed to put certain things. It's just going to really help you. So this is what I have here, and I know I'm going to add some textual information right here before the closing div. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Lorem Ipsum and get some generic text. And remember, for your website, you would need to actually have the text that is relevant to the topic of your site. So I'm going to paste the text here, but I want to make it a paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the beginning of my text, click P, and then move the closing P, Command Exit, move it to the very end. So it's going to look like this. And I'm going to save, come back here, preview. So it's going to look something like that. So there's a couple of things I want to fix here. First, I want to change the color of my header. And as you could see, I have a lot of different types of headers here. However, this one is specific to this column that is inside this row. So I can customize this header differently than the ones that are coming that are black by default on my website. So if I were, so these are considered global CSS selectors, and this is more like custom to where I'm actually going to make the, you know, like where I've actually inserted the new responsive design content. So I'm going to go ahead and click the H2, and I'm going to go click the T. I'm going to change the color to red. Maybe change the font face to Gill Sand, and maybe body could be normal, and maybe weight could be bold. And we're going to discuss the different size issues for the web, measurement units for the web a little later. But I'm going to go ahead and save, preview this thing. And my text is red. I have my copy, and that looks pretty good. What I don't like is the fact that this is sitting really close to the top and close to the text. So we're going to talk about the concept of margins and padding. So margins, so I have posted in-depth notes on class lectures week 6 both on margins and padding, and also the measurement units. So if you click, so the brief explanation is margins the space around the element, while padding is the space inside of the element. So let's say you have a jacket, the padding that's inside of the jacket is very similar to the concept of the padding that we're discussing, is the space inside of the unit or the element, and then the outside of your jacket, as it relates to the space outside of it, would be considered margin. So let's say this is the border would be like your div, the padding would be the space inside of your div, and the margin would be the space outside of your div, and the dotted line would be like the web page. So again, this is some basic explanation on this concept here. So let's go back, and again we realize that this does not look good, so I need to customize it a little bit further. So an easy way to do that is if you click on your actual rule in your code, and in your CSS dial, if you're on, instead of all, if you're on your current, remember you gotta be on the actual rule. It's automatically, it's gonna highlight it for you. Sometimes it's glitchy and doesn't work, but for the most part it works fine. So I know that I want to add some padding to this within the row. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, maybe I'll just put it on split so you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and maybe add like 20. And you can see that it just automatically moved the whole thing down. Maybe I'll just do 30. Sometimes there's a glitch in Dreamweaver, and when you try to change something, especially if it's in the unlocked mode, it kind of gets rid of other options. So if one of the ways you can avoid that is just make sure this is unlocked, and if you want to change the bottom spacing, click the trash can so it's back to 0, and then simply change it to whatever number you want to change it to. So that's a good way to, and then you can lock it back up. So that's a really good way to sort of avoid this kind of issues. I'm going to go back on my code panel, and what I want to do, I want to kind of repeat this information, including the customization that I did with the text and the header. I want to add the same exact thing to my div on the right hand side. So I'm going to copy the content of the div, so it's going to be, so I have my, already I have my header, but I can, you know, the column name is exactly the same, so I can simply do the same thing, just copy this and this before the closing of the div, come back here, move this up, and just get rid of this and paste what I had there, and simply adding the left content. So I'm going to just change this to the right. And I can customize it later. Right. Now if I save, if I preview, you'll see that I have the same exact formatting for both my left text and my right text right here. So I'm going to show you a couple of more things that I want you to complete for next week. Again, if you don't like the spacing, like the paragraph that I had, I mean there was a lot of spacing there. If I highlight on the P, make sure I'm on the current, go on the P, you'll see that my padding from the top is set to 30. Again, I can unlock this, and at first I'm just going to put it to 0 because sometimes it just acts strange, and now I'm going to just change it to 15, and now if I save it, you'll see that the spacing is going to be kind of less. Yeah, it just moved everything up. So let's just add a couple of more things. So I'm going to go to my left column. I'm going to just move this down and just click my insert tab here, and from my insert panel I'm going to choose responsive image, and automatically that means that basically whatever image I put in here is going to resize based on the device that we're going to be viewing our website on. So if it's on a phone, it's going to look different than if it's on a desktop. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like. Oops. Split. So that's what it looks like. So the first thing I'm going to do from the source, I already added the picture that I'm interested to add to this location. So I'm going to click on the folder. So as you could see, the path, I would need to point it to the image that I have in my images folder. So I've already added in there, so I can simply click on the folder and make sure I'm on the right location here. And this is the image. I've resized it to 400 wide, and basically it populates in that location. And if I preview this, you'll see that when I resize the picture, resize the page, the picture resizes simultaneously with the window panel. So we're going to make some changes here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some padding to this. So let's go ahead and move down, and again, as soon as I click on this tab, if in my CSS Designer, so I'm going to go back and forth between Insert and CSS Designer. You see that I'm automatically pointed to Image Fluid because I've highlighted the code. And now I'm going to add some padding to the top. So if I click this, you see it just automatically moves it down. If I want some padding to the bottom, I could do that as well. So maybe I'll just do 20 and 20 from top and bottom. Maybe 10 for the left and the right. And I'm going to show you a couple of fun things that you could do with your image. First, save your page. I'm going to show you a couple of different options that are kind of interesting. So first, you can add borders to your picture. So if I click, these are the different types of borders. If you wanted to have all sides, you want to click all sides, click the width, and then you can choose the pixel, or you can choose medium, thin, and thick. I'm just going to choose medium, and you have to see it right here, otherwise it's not going to work. Style, you can have dotted or dash. I'm going to choose solid. You could choose a color based on whatever color you like. I'm going to just choose black. And you can also have ratio image for the picture. So if I want to have like the picture, oops, you can have it on the actual box, or you can actually have it on the image. But right now, let's kind of just try that. And if I actually click locked, they'll kind of something like that. And if I don't like the border, because the border kind of hits the actual div panel, so if you don't like the border in this situation, which I actually don't, you can simply see what it looks like without the border, or get rid of it altogether, which I just did. So now if I preview this, you'll see that I have my slider, I have my customized header, everything's, you know, stylized with margins and padding, and I have my responsive design image that resizes based on how I'm moving the browser window. This is how I'm resizing the browser window. So the last thing I'm going to show you is to embed a video inside of a column. So let's go ahead and find a location. Let's say maybe I'll just want to put it in here. And you can just do it in a code, which is probably easier. And you can just go to maybe if you wanted to, let's say, you can basically, the process would be the same. You would click share, you would click embed, copy, and then come back here and paste your link here. However, there's one other thing that I want to show you. So if I preview this, you see that I have my video. However, my video is not resizing. The reason for that is that the video is set to pixel, and we are going to talk more in depth about the measurement units in HTML, and I have notes for you on Blackboard. But for now, just to quickly show you that you can kind of assign change this measurement unit. So if I change this to, let's say, 80% and 80%, so you have to make sure to put the percentage in. Now it's going to resize based on how I'm changing the browser window. So if I go here, this automatically changes to 80%, and as you could see, when I'm moving it, it just shrinks the video. So, and if you don't want the width to shrink, because I shrank both width and height, I can simply keep the width at 100%. Always make sure to put the percentage in, and simply click, and now you can see the video is in full mode. And I can simply, when I resize it, the video and the picture shrink simultaneously. So there's some fine tuning that you can always do when you're playing around with your, just inserting media. Yeah, this is much better. So the last part of this tutorial is to add like a basic nav bar here. So I'm going to choose my carousel because I want the nav bar to be above the carousel function. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the top. And right after the container fluid, before, actually, I'm going to move this down. I'm going to just say add nav. And we're going to cover the navigation part more in depth in the next tutorial. So again, the process of adding a nav in jQuery is very easy, or Bootstrap component utilizes jQuery components. So I'm going to click on this Bootstrap. There's a couple of different nav options. I'm going to click the navigation, this option here. This is the easiest one. So once you click it, I'm going to go to the code. So just to go over how this works is, this is the suitcase of your nav, the UL. Opening UL, closing UL. These LI, the list items, are the buttons of your navigation. So the home, the about, the gallery, and so forth. So the way you want to change that, so the first one, the one that says active, is basically the very first tab on your page. So that could be your home page. And you can change the text for your own reference. The href references to how you're going to link that page to whatever page you're on. So for this one, remember the very first page on your website, it should be called index.html. The second nav bar, remember the white text we can change. It's what's visible to the viewer. So maybe that's going to be your about page. I know we haven't built them yet, but we can kind of sort of prep the files here and then build them later. And then the href for the about file, remember it's going to be all lowercase and it's going to be about HTML. And the third one, let's say, is going to be gallery. Again, this href is going to be lowercase gallery.html. And let's say we want to add another page. So let's say you're going to have a contact page, because that's what you need to have for the next your midterm project. So again, every one of these LIs represents a page on your website. So the last button that I have, I don't really want to use this last button. If I want to add another page, you want to copy either from the second line of code or the third line of code. I'm going to just choose this third line of code. I'm going to paste it, and this one I'm going to change the white text to contact and change the gallery to contact, and I'm going to save the file. So if I preview the page, you'll see that I have my, I know I don't have the pages yet because I haven't built them, but these are the different pages. I mean, I can delete this, I can you know, give it a different name. So you just need to add this. You don't, you know, we'll cover this part in the next video tutorial, but this is how you add a very basic navigation to your web page, and then we'll build these other pages so then you can kind of move interactively between them. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing your work.